The president of Germany takes cover in a bomb shelter during his visit to Ukraine. He's promising the country more air defence deliveries.
Markets stabilise in the UK as Rishi Sunak takes over as the country's third prime minister this year.
Deadline nears for ethnic Serbs in Kosovo to change car registration plates, with many defying Pristina's demands.
All smiles, but a harrowing reminder of what Ukrainians face every day. The president of Germany takes cover in a bomb shelter with locals in the country's north. Frank-Walter Steinmeier, who has been criticised for his past alleged ties with Russia, was there to reassure Kyiv of Berlin's support. His meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky a chance to back up words with actions, promising air defence system deliveries. Ukraine is calling for Western countries to help protect its skies after ramped-up Russian missile strikes on energy infrastructure across the country. At a later press conference, Steinmeier had one message for Ukrainians. We are on your side, he says. We support you. We will continue to support you. Economically, politically, militarily, for as long as possible. Germany, Mr. President, condemns Russia's escalating steps, which include partial mobilization and irresponsible nuclear rhetoric. As Russian strikes go on, Moscow continues to allege that Ukraine plans to use a so-called dirty bomb on its own territory. Western officials have denounced the claim as a pretext for Russian aggression. Inspectors from the UN nuclear watchdog are heading to 2 Ukrainian sites after Kyiv requested an expert mission to disprove the claims. It comes as Moscow calls a blast outside a television station in Russian-occupied Melitopol a terrorist attack.
The Kremlin intensified its information operation to accuse Ukraine of preparing to conduct a false flag attack using a dirty bomb. The Institute for the Study of War assessed that the Kremlin is unlikely to be preparing an imminent false flag dirty bomb attack. Ukraine's foreign minister said that the experts from the International Atomic Energy Agency are set to arrive to Ukraine shortly as Kyiv attempts to head off unsubstantiated claims from the Kremlin about a so-called dirty bomb plot. The Institute for the Study of War says that Russian forces are likely preparing to defend Kherson city and are not fully withdrawing from Upper Kherson region. The occupation administration officials have taken down communication systems in Kherson city in an attempt to limit civilian reporting on Russian positions to Ukrainian forces ahead of anticipated Ukrainian advances. Now let's take a look at what's been happening in the northeast of Ukraine. The Ukrainian General Staff reported that Ukrainian forces repelled Russian attacks in northern Kharkiv region along the Kharkiv-Belgorod region's border and captured few settlements towards Svatove-Kremina in Luhansk region. Further east, some of the heaviest fighting continues around Bakhmut. Wagner Group financier Yevgeny Prigozhin acknowledged the slow pace of Wagner Group operations around Bakhmut, saying that they advance only about 100 to 200 meters per day as Russian forces continued to lose ground near the city. In another slowdown, the Institute for the Study of War says Russian forces conducted air, missile and drone strikes against targets in Ukraine at a markedly slower tempo than in previous days. Now, the think tank says it possibly reflects decreasing missile and drone stockpiles and the strike's limited effectiveness of accomplishing Russian strategic military goals.
A challenge for a generation. That's how the task of supporting and rebuilding Ukraine has been presented to leaders at a conference in Germany. The European Commission President said the EU would be contributing up to 1.5 billion euros every month next year.
We have no time to waste. The scale of destruction is staggering. The World Bank puts the cost of the damage at 350 billion euros. This is for sure more than one country or one union can provide alone. We need all hands on deck.
The German Chancellor told the gathering in Berlin that the commitment would be on a scale similar to the decades-long aid plan the US created after World War II to reconstruct Europe.
So that's what is at stake here, nothing less than creating a new Marshall Plan for the 21st century, a generational task that must begin now. The recovery, reconstruction and modernization of Ukraine will indeed be a challenge for generations, one that will require the combined strength of the entire international community. But it is also an opportunity for generations to come if we get it right.
Ukraine has been under repeated aerial bombardment since Russia's invasion back in February, which has been increasing recently with strikes at key sites such as power plants.
French President Emmanuel Macron is meeting with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz in Paris later. It comes amid divergences between the two neighbours and key European Union allies over EU strategy, defence and economic policies. Often described as the motor of the EU, some say that relations between France and Germany are now under strain as rarely before. And with me now is Alberto Alemano, Professor of EU Law at HEC Paris and the College of Europe. Welcome to you. Great to have you with us. So what is going wrong between France and Germany?
Well, I think there have been many ups and downs in the Franco-German relationship over time, but this time the tension is somehow unprecedented, all the more so at this historical moment. I would say that Germany, under the leadership of Angela Merkel, has always been trying to avoid any possible divides happening within Europe, but now all of a sudden we see the new chancellor in Germany, Olaf Scholz, actions creating the deepest divides within the union. And this is clearly creating tensions with its historical ally, France, that really sees the German unwillingness to collaborate more by sharing and coordinating on a variety of policy fields, both internally, when you think about the energy bills, all the way to the foreign policy, the response to Ukraine, and now also the relationship with China. So this is already undermining the European ability to act at a time of crisis. And it seems that it's not very easy to bring together the French president, the German chancellor, and to speak with the same voice.
Well, an unprecedented level of tension, as you put it. Of course, perhaps that might seem quite alarming. I guess the big question is, can it be resolved and how?
I think there is margin for addressing this tension or lack of communication between the two. But of course, the two leaders need to spend more time together. They need to rely on each other at the moment in which many other European countries look at the Franco-German engine as a necessary, but not necessarily a sufficient condition for making progress for European integration. The challenges ahead are also unprecedented, and they require probably more than ever the French and the Germans speaking with one voice and understanding the world through the same prism. And this is exactly what is not happening. We see each of these leaders looking at their own constituency, trying to figuring out how to satisfy the internal demand while also taking a broader stance vis-a-vis all European citizens of Europe.
Rishi Sunak takes over the helm of the good ship UK. The markets seem to like it, stabilizing for now at least. But Britain's third Prime Minister this year has an enormous task of taming an economic crisis that has left the country's finances in a precarious state. A firm hand is required.
I will place economic stability and confidence at the heart of this government's agenda. This will mean difficult decisions to come.
Sunak's arrival at number 10 has made international news. Not least as he's the first British Asian to clinch the premiership, but congratulations from abroad may have been a reflection of hope that the political turmoil is over. France's President Macron tweeted he wanted to get on with the challenges of the moment. Ukraine's President Zelensky wanted reassurances that UK support against Russia would continue. And nearer to home, Scotland's First Minister Nicola Sturgeon was looking for mutual respect after reports that Liz Truss never even phoned her. So to the business of forming a cabinet, which despite a few surprise choices was billed as returning experienced hands to the top jobs and looked like a bid to appease both wings of the divided Conservative Party. with his team around him. Sunak must now get down to work.